Hey guys, check it out. You're watching Jonathan Clarke on YouTube. Oh no! Shouldn't come as a secret to anybody how I've loved having these conversations with every fan of Descendants of Zombies. Over the years, I have been able to create something special for every fan of Descendants of Zombies, which really essentially became something we created together for every fan of Descendants of Zombies. We gave them something to believe in for hope for the foreseeable future because we still really have a long way to go, and one should never buy into what critics are trying to sell you and make you believe about how Descendants of Zombies have seen enough movies produced. They need to stop making Descendants of Zombies movies. If anything, we need to keep this one alive, and that's what I wanted to do with your guys' help, is keep these franchises alive along with giving people hope for a foreseeable future. So if you are somebody who has always and forever believed in the future having everything to do with your favorite franchises, Descendants of Zombies, then I think this could be the YouTube channel for you. But before you ever subscribe here to this YouTube channel, I know how it goes. I got to give you a reason to subscribe here to this YouTube channel. I just can't say, hey everyone, my name's Jonathan Clarke, I'm such a loser on YouTube, and I would love for you to subscribe here to this YouTube channel without ever giving you a reason. My only hope is that you will find something special and see something special in me as the host of this show, because I've always carried with me a greater appreciation for Descendants of Zombies. You know something, guys? I don't think there's ever been a guy as appreciative of Descendants of Zombies franchises quite like I've been, because I've carried such an appreciation for these characters and their individual stories, because I don't care who they are. Everybody who's ever been a part of the Descendants of Zombies franchises have carried with them a special story, and all they've ever wanted to do is tell their story from their perspective, and for you guys to be a part of it. And you guys allowed yourselves to become a part of this and really become immersed in it. And through the power of things such as this YouTube channel, you've really felt connected to these franchises, and you felt as if you've been a part of these stories for forever. And it's been my honor to allow you to feel as if you're a part of these franchises and a part of these stories, your favorite characters, for a very long time, because I think this has been a long time coming for every fan of Descendants of Zombies who watches these videos on YouTube. For whatever reason you found my YouTube channel this evening, or for whatever reason you are here, for whatever reason you're a fan of Descendants of Zombies, I want you to know that there has never been nothing wrong with being a fan of Descendants of Zombies, and it's been my honor to go on to upload and create so many wonderful videos that you have drawn inspiration from, that you have shared your stories with me through, allowing me the opportunity to discover why you're a fan of Descendants of Zombies and to honor that. Because I think if a YouTube creator can never honor why somebody watching their video is a fan of Descendants of Zombies, then it completely defeats the purpose and shuts down the opportunity or chance to ever upload a video about Descendants of Zombies. Because all I've ever wanted to be a part of is something special. I've always wanted to leave a legacy behind having something to do with Descendants of Zombies. I never thought it would happen like rapid fire for me on this YouTube channel, because all of this seemingly happened overnight. I just uploaded one Descendants of Zombies video at random, woke up the next day with over 1,000 views and was like, oh my god, is this really happening for me? Then I would go on to upload a second and a third Descendants of Zombies video, 1,000 views here, 1,000 views there, and I was kind of like the cat in the hat running around so excited. It was like, woohoo! 1,000 views on my YouTube channel within the first month. And I just kept on uploading videos for people because I knew how much you appreciated the content, and I knew how much you guys wanted to be a part of something special. And I can never seem to say thank you enough for allowing me to be a part of this fandom and allowing me to represent you as your voice of Descendants of Zombies, because you guys have been wanting a Descendants of Zombies podcast for a very long time, haven't you not? I think that the Marvel podcast over on Marvel.com has been drawing a lot of significant attention, and it's been the one and only Disney podcast that's gone on to achieve so much rarity. But I think you guys have wanted, especially after 5.2 million being invested in the Marvel podcast, I think you guys have wanted a Descendants of Zombies podcast, an unofficial Descendants of Zombies podcast, for a very long time. And I have never felt more honored to be the host of the show and being able to resonate and have the chance to connect with so many wonderful fans who have forever shared with me their stories about how they felt inspired by their favorite characters, many of whom are Freya, Skye, and Malachi Burton, Victor, and Nova. And I got to be honest with each and every one of you, Victor and Nova's story in Zombies 5 is going to be something to really marvel in and really enjoy and find time in appreciating. And I look forward to being a part of that future with each and every one of you, because when it comes to a story having anything at all to do with a mermaid, Jonathan Clarke is checking in. Jonathan Clarke is going to be the driver of that speedboat, and he's going to drive that speedboat out into that vortex, regardless of how dangerous it is, and probably the first one to voluntarily jump inside of this thing to uncover its mystery. because I've had a greater appreciation for supernatural lore for a very long time. Just the other day, I heard a podcast interview that Meg Donnelly did where she was trying to wonder how many supernatural seasons there have been, and she initially thought there were 15 seasons of Supernatural. Well, Meg, for your information, there's been 20 seasons of Supernatural, and I've watched virtually every single one of them. So as a result of watching every season of Supernatural, I've taken away a greater appreciation for this. And one should never believe in the critics saying that zombies has pretty much seen everything there is to potentially happen in the Zombies franchise, because there is so much of a supernatural lore to take a greater appreciation away from, and it's something I've taken a great deal of pride in. I have received so much praise for being able to take such complex stories and make them relatable to so many wonderful people. And you know how appreciative I've been of that honor? I've been forever and always appreciative of that. So I can tell you guys that forever and always, regardless of what happens or what becomes of these franchises, you guys will forever and always have me to help you make sense of everything happening around you, of how mermaids could become involved with such a supernatural and so magical story, or how Descendants of Zombies has really gone on to define legacies of fans, which is truly something spectacular, honestly, to really marvel in. I have felt as if I've been a part of something special for forever. I remember how iconic the love story was of Zed and Addison, and how much time I found in appreciating their story. I couldn't wait for a new chapter of Zombies, for a new installment to happen, because I wanted to find out and wanted to know what was going to happen for Zed and Addison. And I really wanted to know from the first time I ever saw Zombies if Disney was really going to follow through with this. I thought it fit perfectly with what Disney was trying to promote with the acquisition of Marvel and Star Wars and coming into this sci-fi kind of realm. I thought Zombies fit perfectly with what Disney was trying to promote. And I thought the story between a girl falling in love with a zombie and songs like Someday and Gotta Find Out Where I Belong, there was just something about these duets that Meg Donnelly and Milo Manheim were a part of that you couldn't just help but find time appreciating the characters and what they meant to the Zombies franchise. It was truly unbelievable and unparalleled, anything that I've ever experienced through being a Disney fan for many, many years. And of course, I grew up in the late 1980s and early 1990s. I had the honor of growing up as a millennial, which means I had the honor of growing up from the early 1990s up until the turn of the millennium, and that was a very different experience. I know it was a time in history that people like Liamani Segura, who was a huge fan of the 80s, and Kylie Cantrell, who was a diehard fan of the 1990s, wish they would have had the honor to grow up within. And I can tell people like Liamani Segura and Kylie Cantrell, which I've had the honor of doing through the years, it was such a huge honor for me, a profound honor to have the chance to grow up in the 1980s, even though I was really young, too young perhaps to remember the 1980s, but I remember the rise in popularity of icons like Mike Tyson, who was just 17 years old, winning his first professional fight in the first round by total knockout. He won within less than a minute and a half. And I remember seeing it. I remember the rise in popularity of Michael Jackson in the 1980s. And fast forward to the decade of the 1990s, the rise of the popular band the Backstreet Boys. I remember being at Music World years ago. Many of you are too young to remember it, but Music World eventually would shut down or get revamped. But I remember being in the line on May 6, 1996, when the first album by the Backstreet Boys dropped that featured the song Get Down. And then boy bands like NSYNC would eventually be formed, Westlife, Eminem will go on to become one of the most revered rappers of all time. There were so many iconic and legendary moments that I had the honor to be a part of. But when you think about this generation in 2026, there is nothing I've never felt more honored to be a part of. And I've been a part of a lot of significant moments in entertainment, and I've had the honor of profiling a lot of things as a journalist. There is nothing I've never felt more honored to have been a part of than to profile your favorite stars and to showcase them for what it's been worth. I know that I live here in this haunted house, and you guys hear a lot of really crazy things in the background, doors making crazy noises and stuff like that, a lot of stuff going bump. But that's the unfortunate thing about living here in a haunted house. But I think it's the most effective way of ever having recorded the video about Descendants of Zombies, because in order for one to record their thoughts on Descendants of Zombies, they not only have to talk about Descendants of Zombies, he or she doesn't have to only talk about Descendants of Zombies, they've got to live the entire Descendants of Zombies experience, even if that means moving into a local residency near a soil plantation and a chemical plant, which I know, living your life in fear of exploding and listening to iHeartRadio every night in fear of that explosion eventually becoming a reality for you and never knowing what to do never gets easier. But I found time in appreciating that. I found time in appreciating all of these unforgettable moments that we've been a part of. Like that iconic elevator scene in the first Zombies movie where Zed believed that if zombies didn't win a football in that school year, they would never achieve acceptance. I will never forget that moment when he looked into Addison's eyes and he told her that because that's what he believed. He believed that's what he had to help the football team do. And eventually he would go on to achieve his goal of being one of the greatest football players of all time because he believed in order to have a legacy, that's what he had to follow through with. That promise for the football team and a promise he made between himself and Addison, which was a beautiful promise to begin with. Or that iconic moment where they met each other in the zombie safe zone where she punched him in the face. It was a punch to his face that he never ever forgot because when he got punched in the face by Addison, his life pretty much changed for forever. And I think we've all wished to be a part of moments like these. You know, I really wish that more people would have had opportunities to be a part of moments like these where they would find love in some of the most mysterious ways, because love has a funny way of working its magic. And I don't think that anybody ever has to be too concerned about finding love or if they're ever going to find love, because I think love eventually has a way of catching up with each and every one of us. And when we least expect it, just as fast as we can snap our fingers, Zombies has really allowed us to put into perspective just how love can happen for us almost with an instancy. And that's something I've taken a greater appreciation away from, because when you least expect it, your life can really change for the better. Because you think about Zed and Addison's story, unquestionably it went on to hold a very special place in our hearts for at least over 7 years, and it were 7 years that I never ever forgot. And when it came to stories like Mal and Ben from Descendants, which the first Descendants movie primarily focused on before the story became more widely opened and explored by Descendants 2, because by Descendants 2 the story got deeper, you couldn't help but find time in appreciating it. And then you look at songs like If Only from Dove Cameron. It was a song about acceptance, and she was wondering if she was ever going to find acceptance, and after 1.5 million likes happened for the If Only music video on Vivo, she eventually would go on to find her place in history, because she went on to become the most revered and most celebrated Descendants character of all time. You know, I would have loved to have been able to host these events that Descendants characters were a part of, like the Disney Holiday Celebration and what have you, because I think that moments like these are only ever meant to happen once in a person's lifetime. So I just always wanted to be the Ryan Seacrest or whatever, the Rick Dees, if you would, of the Descendants of Zombies celebrations, although I probably would have done a better job than Ryan Seacrest or Rick Dees would have ever been able to do, or Casey Kasem or something like that. Because I've always had a greater appreciation for Descendants of Zombies, and I've always believed in magic, and I've always believed in magic becoming believable for everybody, no matter how unrealistic it may seem to everybody. If you've ever believed in hope, if you've ever believed in a second chance happening for you, or even finding true love, no matter how you find it, whatever form it comes in, I think it's something really special, and I think it's something that should be encouraged, and that's all I've ever wanted to be a part of. And now what we're setting up for in the Zombies franchise is this beautiful story that we've never seen or heard before from Freya, Skye, and Malachi Burton. It's something I've grown very appreciative of and very fond of, because I never ever thought I'd have the opportunity to share in these moments with each and every one of you. The Freya Skye Stars Align Tour coming up in February, and all month in February we are going to celebrate Freya Skye's tour. So it'll be a Freya February. If anything, February 2026 will be a Freya February here on this YouTube channel. So if you are a fan of Freya Skye, then I think just maybe you might want to think about subscribing here to this YouTube channel, like many Freya Skye fans have previously done, because their reason, in their eyes, Jonathan Clarke on YouTube is the coolest YouTube channel ever. Or at least one can only hope. By the way, guys, this is your favorite Descendants of Zombies YouTube channel of all time, right? You love this crazy guy living in a residency near a solar plantation in a chemical plant, and you love his thoughts on Descendants of Zombies, his insights, his predictions, everything he shared with you over this last year. So this gots to be your favorite Descendants of Zombies YouTube channel of all time. But I promise you, I will dedicate the entire month of February to give back to the Freya Skye fans, to Freya Skye, because one thing I've become particularly fond of and become a fan of is just how dedicated Freya Skye has been to everything that she's ever had the honor to be a part of. And I can never remember a time where I've been particularly fond of somebody as much as what I've been of Freya Skye. I very quickly fell in love with her. You know, it kind of reminds me of how appreciative I was of the moments I got to share in with each and every one of you over Miley Cyrus years ago, when I saw the rapid-fire ascension of Miley Cyrus from a girl who was never taken seriously into a superstar seemingly overnight as the character character, Hannah Montana, being the first girl ever in Disney history to play the double life. You know, being a teen high school girl by day and a pop star by night was very challenging for her, and she did receive her fair share of criticism. Nobody ever wanted to give Hannah Montana a chance, but I was one of those guys who saw appreciation in that concept. And 15, 20 years later, I see that same appreciation coming from fans of Descendants of Zombies, because in order for somebody to record their thoughts on Descendants of Zombies and share it with a global audience, they too have to carry with them that same appreciation. And I've had the honor of doing that, and I've had the honor of creating so many wonderful videos that so many people have drawn inspiration from. And I have to give it to you guys, how passionate you felt about the Descendants of Zombies merch, having events inspired by Descendants of Zombies and attending them. It's so cool how we have these events happening at these dance complex where you learn the dance routines for your favorite Descendants songs and the choreographing that goes with it, and the stars go out of their way to attend these choreographing sessions. I would really love to be a part of these, and I know it's very uncharacteristic for a guy to say that, but it has everything to do with how appreciative I've been of these moments. I would love to be that guy who would be in the opening monologues of the Descendants of Zombies movies for the cartoony openings, because I've always had a greater appreciation for a story and how you tell a story, because you can tell a story without feeling or emotion put behind it, but it's always been forever and always about how you tell a story and how you can relate that story to so many wonderful people who find time in appreciating how you feel about a story. And I think that I've been able to resonate with so many wonderful people because I've had a profound ability to be able to do that and really break the fourth wall. And I've been able to break through the fourth wall because of each and every one of you. I never ever thought this YouTube channel would see over 100,000 views. I would have loved for this YouTube channel to have seen over 100,000 views, and I had the opportunity for this YouTube channel to see it because of each and every one of you and how you felt about how I felt about Descendants of Zombies. You really felt how I felt about Descendants of Zombies. You felt just as emotional. And that's what meant so much for me as a YouTube creator, being able to resonate with so many wonderful people. And it's a time in my life that I will never, ever forget. Many of you have come to know me for being the biggest fan of Ruby Rose Turner, and to be honest with each and every one of you, I have forever and always missed Ruby Rose Turner being a part of the Descendants franchise, because I always believed that Ruby Rose Turner had so much to offer to this franchise. This is absolutely incredible how much Ruby has offered to the franchise in such a short amount of time that she has been involved with this franchise. And I think that her story is anything but having been told and completed. I have forever and always left the door more widely open than ever before for Ruby Rose Turner to have the chance to tell more of a story in relation to her character, because I know she may have just been there to tell the story of the young Queen of Hearts from her perspective and how she believed that kindness can really have a profound impact on more people's hearts than given it credit for. But I really believe that even though she was just a young version of the Queen of Hearts, there could be a reason written into a story for them to have to go back in time to get Ruby's help for something that may be going on or happening in present-day Wonderland. Because with the Kingdom Cup games finding their way to Oregon, that opens up the door for more competition than ever before, Royal Rumble-like. And take it from a guy who was involved in the pro wrestling industry for forever, when competition finds its way into a storyline, there is always a way to create new and innovative storylines for us to be more excited than we ever have been before. And being involved with the pro wrestling industry is never easy when you have to profile the Royal Rumble and WrestleMania and steel cage matches and all kinds of things. I've always loved the competition factor because it opens up the door more widely than ever before to present more storylines than ever before. And I'm really excited about the Kingdom Cup games finding their way into Oregon than ever before. And you're saying to yourself, hey, Jonathan Clarke, have you ever been in a Royal Rumble match? That's a different story for a different time. But I've loved having the opportunity, having said that, to put smiles on everybody's faces who may have been a fan of Descendants of Zombies. And to be honest with you guys, I am really excited, and I've never felt more intrigued to have the opportunity to meet so many incredible characters whom we are going to be meeting for the first time ever. We have Liamani Segura and Keanu Romero coming in to play characters such as Hazel Hook and Pink, who I think is really going to offer a lot to this franchise. I think we have more to be excited about than ever before. Pink is going to have her own introductory song, and reportedly there's going to be a remix of Life is Sweeter When You Are. I don't know how I feel about that without Ruby Rose Turner's voice being a part of it. There's a lot of reasons why they can bring Ruby back into the storyline, and one of them could be for her to lend her voice to this remix of Life is Sweeter When You Are, but I have no doubt in my mind that Kylie Cantrell and Liamani Segura are going to represent this song so phenomenally, and I have never felt more intrigued to be a part of these reviews, because I know that they're going to receive their fair fair share of criticism, but it is nothing that we can never see through, because your love and support for Descendants of Zombies has been able to outshine all of this criticism that we have fallen victim to, because of journalists who always have this desire to state how they really feel and give their honest opinion about Descendants of Zombies. And I have always wanted to support these franchises the way they have forever and always been meant to be supported, and I look forward to being a part of that future with each and every one of you. So if you have not subscribed here to this YouTube channel, you're probably going to want to go out of your way to do that, and I would love for you to be a part of this journey that I felt like I've been on for forever, because there are never enough opportunities for us to talk about Descendants of Zombies, to profile people like Freya, Skye, who I think is going to have a phenomenal tour all throughout the month of February in 2026, and it's something I'm excited to be a part of and to be here for. And all throughout the month of February, which is also the same month that Resident Evil 9 will drop on PlayStation 5. Oh man, I got a lot to be excited about in February, because we got Resident Evil 9 coming out on PlayStation 5, which I got pre-ordered. We got the Freya Skye Stars Align World Tour, and we got Scream 7 coming at the end of the month. Oh man, I got a lot to get to. I got a bolt. But each and every one of you being a part of this franchise has been something and allowing me to be a part of it. It's one thing for you guys to be a part of, but for how you've allowed me to be a part of it, a guy who used to do professional wrestling podcasts, going from doing professional wrestling podcasts over 20 years ago, and bringing him back and allowing me to be a part of this generation after having been a fan of Disney for many, many years. It is an honor that I can never seem to say thank you enough for, and really giving me a chance to have my voice heard by a whole new generation of Disney fans. And seriously, guys, thank you so much for allowing me to be a part of your lives and to have represented you as your voice of Descendants of Zombies, which is something I look forward to doing in that foreseeable future. So if you have not subscribed, or you haven't liked the video, or you haven't rang my bell for every time that I upload, it would be my honor for you to be a part of this incredible journey that I felt like I've been on forever. Something special that we created for every fan of Descendants of Zombies. Thank you so much for feeling as strongly as you have about Descendants of Zombies and being forever and always passionate about it, because we still have a long way to go, because this story is far from over. Thank you so much for allowing me to be a part of each and every one of your lives, and to have been a part of this story as one of the most recognizable voices in the history of Descendants of Zombies. Thank you so much for having made this your favorite Descendants of Zombies YouTube channel of all time, which tonight will celebrate over 100,000 views, and I will have a huge video uploaded once the 100,000 view milestone has been surpassed. Thank you so much for having made this your favorite Descendants of Zombies YouTube channel of all time, and thank you so much for having watched this video. It's been my honor.